I thought to start today's show just by showing my bookshelf, my fiction bookshelf, and there's Catcher in the Rye by J.D. Salinger. I heard something recently, I hope it's not true, it sounds almost too strange to be true, that the Obama administration, their education person, whoever it is, has decided that teaching novels is not such a good thing. So they're going to move away from teaching novels now in high schools because they say it's like not training the students good enough for work. Everything is moving now towards this training mode in American society that you have to be productive for the marketplace, and things like the humanities, literature, philosophy are kind of being pushed aside. If that is true, that they are moving away from teaching novels, I think there should be a big public outcry. But anyway, I don't want to get too didactic right now. I just want to look at my books. There's Don DeLillo, Underworld. Jonathan Franzen, The Corrections. There's Lady Chatterley's Lover, D.H. Lawrence. And let's see what's up here. There's a little stack on top of my bookshelf. There's E.L. Doctorow, City of God. Junot Diaz, Drown. There's John Paul Sartre, Nausea. That was Sartre's first book. It was actually a novel. And I consider myself an existentialist, I guess, like Sartre, because I feel like I'm always becoming. And this TV show is also dedicated to that, to my own becoming, and for other people to also become. There's some artwork, some African art sculptures there. Let's see, the sun is shining on the bookshelf nicely, and it's because the window is right here. We'll look out, and there's Hoboken. Okay, we're going to go outside soon too. Okay, one of the books on my bookshelf there that I didn't mention was John Updike's Villages, which I'm rereading now for like the third or fourth time. I'm a huge John Updike fan. I first discovered Updike as an English major at Fordham University in the early 1990s. My professor there, his name was Frank J. He had a master's degree from Columbia, and he just was one of these old-fashioned teachers who would get up and lecture and give you everything, from the date people were born to when they died. And he really covered the whole gamut of literature, from going all the way back to the Greeks, right through modern and postmodern literature. And he really gave me a grounding and a love and a reverence for literature. I think that's the importance of good teaching. It's also the importance of studying literature, which, as we can see, the Obama administration, in its technocratic manner, hey, when you have a lawyer president, that's what you get. We had a business major president before that, Bush. Now we have a lawyer president. So I think we need to elect teachers or thinkers, social workers. We need to get these kind of folks in government, people who really care about humanity and values and ethics, and not just profits and making a buck. But anyway, I'm getting off onto politics. But it's connected, literature and politics, art and politics. That's what the show is all about. So I do want to read an excerpt from this Updike novel. John Updike was born in Shillington, Pennsylvania in 1932. And his mother wanted to be a writer. And she had very limited success with it. She was mostly a frustrated writer. I think he might have absorbed some of that, his own urge, to express himself in words from his mom. His dad was a school teacher, and he, had this very small town, idyllic upbringing. And in a small town in Pennsylvania. He went to Harvard, and then he went to the Ruskin School of Drawing at Oxford, where he studied art. So there's an artistry that pervades his prose. And in 1957, he began to publish short stories for The New Yorker, and they were a great success. People loved his work, and he was actually hired by The New Yorker. And he was like the toast of the town in New York. But he didn't like New York. There was something about New York City that just didn't, it was for him, it wasn't his style. He wanted something a little bit more lower key. And he went out to the suburbs of Massachusetts, and he wrote these beautiful books that really plumb the depth and the beauty in what ordinarily people would think was mundane and boring, and he would find the magic in the ordinary, and that was really the basis of his work. And he lived in Ipswich, Massachusetts for most of his life. Occasionally he would visit New York and he would travel around, but he was really one of our most prolific writers and one of our most beautiful writers. I really honor this man, and John Updike passed away about 3 years ago. And I got to see him one time. It was this one magic time when he came to New Jersey to read from a book of poetry that he had written. And it was at NJCU, New Jersey City University, where I was teaching at the time. And one of the great things about being in academia is you get to meet some really important people and people who you value in terms of their work and their creativity. So Updike, for me, was like meeting my hero. And after the reading, there was a reception, and I was like nervous, and I went up to him, and I told him what his work means to me, and I also said to him, I wish I could write like you. And he looked me right in the eye, and his blue eyes, were twinkling, and he said, "You have to write like you," he said, And even though that sounds like a cliche, when Updike says it, it's not. It's not a cliche. It's something, especially when he says it to you. This is one of the greatest moments of my life, and I treasure it. And so here is just a brief excerpt from Villages. This is one of his last novels, and it traces the life of Owen Mackenzie. And over different periods of his life, he was growing up in a small town, so you can see it was probably autobiographical, where Updike, like most writers, draw on their own biography for their work. The second phase of the novel takes place in Connecticut, where he's married, and he goes through, I forget if he's married like twice or three times, but he has a series of marriages and adulteries, and there's a lot of that in Updike. There's a lot of sex in Updike, but he writes very beautifully about erotic things, And the final part of the novel takes place in Massachusetts, in a small town, in the geriatric phase of his life, where he's living in a condo development with another wife, and who he loves very dearly, and so it's sort of looking over the three phases of his life in three different villages. The name of the novel is Villages, so it's the sort of giving the details of community life and how we learn from the communities that we live in and what they have to teach us and the different stages of our life. So I'm going to read this little piece here. Let's see here. Okay. In Willow, that's the name of the town, Willow, by the inarguable providence of the state, he had daily escaped his house to attend the schools. This is when Owen was a little boy, whose grades up to junior high were taught almost entirely by motherly, mildly challenging women, and to walk the sidewalks with the twittering, teasing pack of girls who could tell, not just Ginger Bidding, but Barbara Emmerich with her corn silk braids and one gray front tooth which showed when she smiled, and lithe, dark, grave-eyed Grace Bicca, that he adored them. Little Owen was malleable, gullible. He believed everything he was told and took comfort, abnormally much, from the town's presiding public presences, the school teachers, and the highway crew, who from their tarry truck threw down cinders in winter and smoking gravel in the summer. And the 3 town cops, one short, one fat, and one with a rumored drinking problem. He took comfort from the little old lady, her glasses on a cord around her goiterous neck, who accepted their monthly electric bill at her barred window in Borough Hall. And the mailman, Mr. Bingham, who, with the heroism of the well-publicized Postal Service slogan, heroically plodded his way up and down Mifflin Avenue twice a day, leaning at an angle away from the weight of his leather pouch, in which Mickey Mouse comic books and secret decoding rings and signed photographs of movie stars would sometimes come to Owen. If his diffuse childhood happiness could be distilled into one moment, it would be the day of a snowstorm in the vicinity of Christmas. Mid-afternoon, the outdoors already darkened under the cloud cover, tinsel and dried needles falling off the holiday evergreen in the front parlor onto the miniature landscape below, which he and his mother had concocted, cotton and flakes of Lux for snow. Lux was the old detergent back in the 1950s. Laundry detergent. Toothpicks stuck into bits of green-painted sponge for trees, and for habitations, fragile store-bought papier-mâché houses gathered around the speckled mirror of a pond. Around the oval, 3 rail tracks ran his little blue Lionel train, with its obedient speed shifts and translucent smell of lubricating oil. Suddenly, a noise that electrified Owen. The clacking letter slot announced that Mr. Bingham had trudged through the blizzard and, for the second time that day, delivered the mail. That mailmen walked and trolley cars clanged through the storm seemed to confirm the Hollywood comic strip version of American reality. We were safe. We were as safe and as lovingly regarded from on high as the tiny, unaging figures in a shaken snow globe. Just slightly above the administrators of local order were the national celebrities. They were indeed more accessible and familiar. Jack Benny and Fibber McGee cracking their jokes and suffering their embarrassments in the little Philco right in the piano room, next to the greasy-armed easy chair where Owen ate peanut butter crackers in a double rapture of laughter and mastication. Tyrone Power, his black eyebrows knitted in a troubled frown, and Joan Crawford, her huge dark lips bravely tremulous, and her enlarged eyes each harboring a tear that would fill a bucket. On the screen at the Scheherazade, that was the movie theater he used to go, and the tweedy, pipe-sucking writers, and bespectacled lab-coated inventors, and slick-haired cafe society people present in the shiny magazines, Life and Liberty and Collier's and the Saturday Evening Post, on the upright wooden rack at Eberle's drugstore, buyable at by any local person with a dime. There was a friendliness, a closeness in the way this firmament curved over Willow in its valley. The voices of Bing Crosby and Lowell Thomas and Kate Smith carried none of the abrasive demands of real voices, his mothers, his teachers, the teasing girls. And yet these celebrities, to judge from the scripts of the radio comedies, lived lives much like ours, visiting the bank and the dentist. Jack Benny even went next door to borrow a cup of sugar from Ronald Colman. At their continental distance, these stars partook of the life lived in Owen's neighborhood, with its spindly porches and buckling retaining walls. There was no better way to live, no grander, more virtuous country than America, and no homier state than Pennsylvania. God figured at the top, the unthinkable keystone. But at a mercifully great distance, farther away than even Hollywood and Beverly Hills. Now, this was a memory, and now we're going to go to the present where Owen is, I think he's around 70 years old, and he's living with his wife in the geriatric community there in Massachusetts. There you are, he tells his wife, when he has deciphered here and found her in the flesh, her frosted hair, her blue flip-flops, on the veranda, reading the New York Times. He insists on reading the Boston Globe, another misalignment. I had the weirdest dream, he begins. You were in it twice. Please, baby, she says, not turning her head. Couldn't you tell me later? I'm trying to understand Enron, the way they did it, siphoning off these fortunes for themselves. I'll have forgotten it later, but never mind, he says, feeling the splash of imagery in his mind evaporate, sparkling though it was with an elixir of her, of their life together. Never mind, tell me what's on for today. Today was Saturday, his favorite day as a child, but threateningly formless in his retirement. Julia, her eyelashes fluttering in irritation as she stared into the Times version of breathtaking corporate corruption, says, "Nothing until cocktails at the Atchisons." Oh, God, do we have to go? Of course, dear. Miriam is one of my best friends, as Brad is yours. They'll be having everybody. We won't be missed. Oh, yes, we will. Why do you put me through this every time? You always enjoy yourself once you're there. You're charming, in fact, in that aw-shucks way you have. I pretend to enjoy myself. I have nothing to say to those people. Nothing. Okay, so apparently they're squabbling a bit about going to a dinner party that she wants to go to, and he doesn't want to. He doesn't feel like he has anything to say to those people there. Anyway, thank you for listening to this was been a reading of John Updike, and one of the great writers of our time, of the 20th century, and work that never grows stale as far as I'm concerned. You know, when you find good literature, it's just a wonderful thing, I guess, as are other works of art, you know, like film and painting. But for me, I think the art forms that really speak to me more would have to be literature and cinema, as well as theater. But, you know, all the arts have something to offer, including music. Painting by my dad of Edgewater, which is a small town that I grew up in on the Hudson River, and it's called Edgewater on the Hudson. And this also might explain how much I love that piece by Updike. You know, growing up in a small town, I can relate to it. And my house was right around there, and I think it was right there, actually, and right to the right of the tree with like a little red roof. That's where I grew up, in this idyllic Mayberry-esque hometown. And here's where I live now in Hoboken, which is just down the river a ways, right about there. Also in the excerpt I read by Updike, there was a mention of magazines like the Collier's and Saturday Evening Post and Life magazine. Here you see a cover from 1972 featuring Raquel Welch. And this particular artifact, it's all kind of crinkly. I found this actual cover in a puddle on the sidewalk in Newark about 5 years ago, on the day that I finished writing my first book. I happened to finish my teaching at Essex County College, and I was walking home, heading for the train, and I looked to the ground and I saw this staring up at me, this beautiful Raquel Welch, but underwater in a puddle. And I said, oh, that's got to mean something, you know. So I brought it home, I rescued it, and I dried it out, and here it is, from 1972. And as we can see, McGovern, Why His Team Keeps Winning, and Nixon in Moscow. Yes. An image from a Matisse painting called The Dance. And Maxine Greene, who's a philosopher whose work is very important to me, she mentions this painting a lot, and I agree with her that she says it's a metaphor for community. So, and I'm just kind of showing things, you know, images, stuff I have, like this is my kitchen wall, and I just have things hanging up that it means something to me, and I wanted to share this with you. From 2008 of Bill and Hillary Clinton, that for some reason, you know, Bill Clinton, I've always had bigger hopes for him, maybe you could say. You know, he's the man from hope, but I've always felt that he never fulfilled his promise. Many people felt that he was going to bring in a liberal restoration when he became president, but he was kind of a centrist New Democrat, and he was really as much going along with a corporate agenda as the Republicans, you know. So he really, many people say that he was the best Republican president that we ever had, and it might be true. It's interesting that this image is juxtaposed with one about the 60s, because many people felt that Clinton was going to bring back the 60s when he got elected in 1992 after 8 years of Reagan-Bush. But that was not to happen, as he put through programs like NAFTA, and he really helped to expand the prison industrial complex, and he moved us forward in a very technocratic direction, and away from community, away from caring, away from a lot of the liberal causes that he seemed to espouse when he said, I feel your pain. This image here was from a program at John Jay College that they had last year called The Struggle for Justice Intensifies. There was a series of panel discussions and about why the 60s are still important. This is a flyer from the Reader's Circle, which is one of my favorite things in the world. It happens at the All Saints Church once a month when they read a novel, and people discuss it together over cake and coffee. Push. Oh, look, I didn't even know they had Push. They're having Push this year by Sapphire. I already taught that this year in my class on modern literary masterpieces, and my students really loved it. Let's see here. The Moviegoer is an incredible novel, which I've read already, and I think I'm going to read it again, by Walker Percy. And one of the themes of this novel is about a person who goes in search, in quest. The main character, he's very bored. He's a stockbroker. He's living down south in a suburb of New Orleans. And to give his life meaning, he does things like take the bus, where he might actually encounter a stranger. And he goes to the movies a lot. So somehow cinema brings a sense of life and purpose to his otherwise banal and meaningless life of financial work, which is very, in many cases, very meaningless. It's a wonderful memory that Claudia and I went to at New World Stages. It was an entire program of love songs, classic love songs from going back to antiquity right up until the modern age. And yes, New World Stages. My favorite people in the world, Reverend Billy, who is minister of the Church of Stop Shopping. And he has exorcised many a Starbucks cash register and Victoria's Secret cash register. He brings hope into the world, that we can have life after shopping, and that we can have a life based on meaning and get back to community. And this is the Stop Shopping Gospel Choir who he's with. I love my Rev. The Bailout Theater at Hudson Church. They have a monthly program there. It's free, and they show provocative new theater pieces that are being made in the New York City area. And Judson Memorial Church is an historic bastion of spirituality and politics and art all together, mixing very nicely. Now I'm in my hallway, and speaking of Judson Church, this framed letter that you see here is from Bill Clinton to me. And it's because I wrote Bill Clinton a letter when he first moved to New York. I wrote him a letter telling him about Judson Church, because I thought if he's a spiritual person and he wants to practice in New York and he's looking for a new church, he had just moved from Arkansas, I thought, being a political person, which I think he still is, that he would also like to be part of a church that gives hope to creating a more just and caring world. So I wrote him a letter, and he was nice enough to write back. There's his seal, and it's kind of blurry here. It's as blurry as the hopes that we had that Bill Clinton would really bring back a progressive revival, I guess. But anyway, he was nice enough to write back, and I still have hopes that he might find his soul one day, but maybe he'll see this show and he'll think twice about what he does in the future. My plaque for being the exalted ruler of the Hoboken Elks in 2001. The Elks is a nationwide charity organization that raises money for good causes, and it's also a great place to be in community and to overcome alienation. And as Robert Putnam says in his book Bowling Alone, The Collapse and Revival of American Community, places like the Elks and the Lions and these kind of community organizations, they really started to decline in membership after 1979, when people were overworked and, kind of moving away from each other, becoming more fragmented. And so the Elks was a great source for me of meeting people, being in community, doing things that are, important, and raising money for charity. And I think it continues to do great work, and I'm very proud to have been very active in the Elks for 5 years as an officer, and I continue to be a member of that lodge. This was the year that I was exalted ruler, and my friend John, who was in the Navy at the time, invited me on a tour of the Intrepid, a free tour of the Intrepid battleship. So this is a new kind of movie that you're watching. Do we need to reinvent Hollywood? My first movie was called The Reinvention of Hollywood, based on human values. When are we going to bring human values back? My collage that says to make art. Make art. And there was a great writer there, and with an actress. And let's see here. There's another great writer, Norman Mailer. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. And there's cleaning lady. Hey, it's a different day now, and Claudia is with me, and we're about to go outside. March 9th, 2013, at about 11 o'clock in the morning. And there was a snowstorm the other day. So you see remnants of snow on the ground. I think it looks very beautiful. I love snow. And little slush piles even have their own beauty. tree right outside of our apartment window. Bus stop at 13th and Washington, and a mailbox, and crunchy piles of snow underneath. Isn't this so much better than Fox News? Light and shadow on 13th Street between Washington and Hudson Street. Transcendent glimmer of sunshine through the trees. Shrubs next to the YMCA with the red brick and the shadows of the trees. And water is dripping from the top of the roof. Let's see. So you're getting the sound of the dripping water, and there's birds in the trees. You're getting the sounds of the birds in the trees. Strange looking smokestack. Echoes of an industrial past. Pile of snow. Yay.
My feet.
Gorgeous, beautiful day. So happy just to be alive on a day like today.
After the big storm yesterday?
Yes. Say hi. Okay, now we're in a change of venue. We're in Union City, which is a town right next to Hoboken. And tonight there's going to be a free cultural event at the William Musto Cultural Center, which is on 15th Street. And it's free and open to the public. And there's going to be refreshments there and wine, and we're going to look and see what art that we can discover and see what people we can talk to and be part of the local community here in Hudson County. Claudia and I hopped on the 22 bus and not too far from Hoboken, and we really love it when things are local and nearby, and we get to discover the community and the people here, and also look at art and have some social life at the same time. So now we're upstairs at the Union City Museum. There's actually a museum in Union City, and it's upstairs from this cultural center. We're downstairs. We're waiting for the artist to show up. There's going to be a whole art show going on downstairs, so it's starting to fill up and get crowded. But upstairs, it's so calm and quiet, and this is the Museum of Union City. You're seeing here some relics and artifacts from local churches. This is from the St. Michael's Monastery, which is a gorgeous, gorgeous building, a Gothic cathedral, which is used to be a monastery, and now it's used, I think, as a Korean church. And this over here is the original silent Ben-Hur coat of armor, donated to the cast of Veronica's Veil in 1925 and used every year since. This is for passion plays. Union City is very famous for passion plays. Okay? And it's also, in a kind of a departure, if we come over here, was one time the burlesque capital of the world. Take a look over here. These were the burlesque theaters. Maybe focus in on this. Extra added attraction, help pick the winner of your favorite exotic dancer from the Hudson Theater Chorus. Okay, and we look over there, and some of the buildings in Union City that look like banks and just sort of a boring, maybe a Rite Aid or CVS, were actually at one time burlesque theaters. And if we could see through the glass here, we see some of the dancers, some of the burlesque dancers who held sway here when Union City was one of the burlesque capitals of the world. Okay. And this building that we're in actually was originally a library, and this is how it looked, amazingly. And if you come over here, this is Andrew Carnegie, because this was a Carnegie library, so we want to thank Mr. Andrew Carnegie. Even though he was one of those like moguls, and we know that the moguls did some things we don't like, but this was one good thing, that he made a library. So I hear some applause downstairs. I think the artist has arrived. Maybe we go downstairs. Or you want to show William Musto was the mayor of Union City at one time, and this is who the cultural center was named after. Another historical fact. Okay? Even Bill Clinton wants to be part of the fun up in Union City. Oh, the elevator's here. Let's get in the elevator. We're going to go downstairs and see the art show now. Okay, we're talking to Carmen Reslin, and she's a curator for the current exhibit at the Union City Museum of Art. And just talking to Carmen, you get so excited about art. She's so wonderful. She's open. She's accessible. You know, some people in New York, these fancy galleries, they're very snotty and snooty, and you can't even afraid to talk to them. She's open, she's accessible, she's caring, she's a friendly person, and she didn't study art. This is interesting. She studied business.
Yes.
And later on, she got excited about art, and as an autodidact, she read about art, she nurtured herself, and now she's very involved with the art world here in Union City, and we're so happy to meet her and connect with her. And behind us, we see people are gathered, and there's lots of excitement about this art show tonight, Carmen.
Yes, there is.
Tell us a little bit, because you exude this enthusiasm and energy and love of art, and maybe you could tell our audience a little bit about what excites you about art.
Yes, you were so right. You used the right word. It's excitement. It's passion in you, and I want to transmit that to people who are thinking that art is boring. For some reason, that's the word they use, and they have to come and realize and come to these events as art exhibitions, theater, so many beautiful things that are going on in the arts. You could just call your town, any town, and say what's going on in the Department of Arts, and go to those events, and you'll realize how you could nourish yourself as a person, and how you could even discover new talents that you have, hidden talents, because that's how actually I started.
What kind of hidden talents do you have?
Many people don't know,
Really?
but because they're
now?
hidden, and yes, I have beautiful projects. I'm a playwright. I write children's song, and I translate also many other playwrights from very well-known playwrights around the world. So
Which playwrights?
There's so many. There's so many right now. I'm so excited. Like he said, I'm just overwhelmed because we had a nice outcome of this. Tonight we have a beautiful outcome with this art exposition.
Yes.
So I'm so excited.
We're going to get to know this artist. What's her name?
Yes, her name is Johanny Monsanto.
Okay.
She's a Dominican descendant,
Right.
and you have to come. It's beautiful. Her art is impressionism, realism, abstract. She works mixed media.
Surrealism also.
Yes, surrealism. I mean, she's multi-talented in the arts. And also designer. She's also a designer. Okay. So.
I want to ask you, do you think that there's a certain amount of snobbery in the art world? Like, people in New York watching. We're on the air in New York City, you know. I mean, do you ever go to the Chelsea galleries?
Yes, I have. And
they're wonderful, right? But
beautiful.
That's not all there is to art, right? Some people think that's all there is, and there is art on the peripheries of the New York City metro area. If you go into Brooklyn, if you go to Bushwick, if you go to Jersey City, if you go to Union City, I think the problem now is that people can't afford to live in Manhattan. You know, at one time, Jackson Pollock, when he was a young guy, he could afford to live in Greenwich Village in a walk-up flat.
Correct.
Now, these young talents, where are they going to live? Places like Union City. This is where the emerging talent is. But do you ever run into snobs, art snobs? What do you do when you meet an art snob?
Yes, Yes, and actually, unfortunately, they start in New Jersey for some reason, and
They
then
do
when
what?
they start in New Jersey, and then when they move to New York,
Yes.
they don't
Oh.
want to know anything about New Jersey. That's sad.
get too
have
high
to.
up there.
They have
High
to
up
come
there.
back. They even born
Yes.
in New Jersey.
They forget their roots.
They even
Yes.
started in New Jersey,
Okay.
and we want to know
Yes.
them to know that
Okay.
we want them here. We want them back. We appreciate their art and say, proudly, I'm from New Jersey.
Yes.
Not only say and hide it, I'm from New York, or I live in New York, thinking that New Jersey is it's little.
Well, New
no,
Jersey
it's
now
beautiful.
is known for like The Sopranos.
Yes.
Which was a great show, let's face it. It was a very artistic show.
Correct.
But we're also known, for Snooki and the Cake Boss and all kinds of crazy things, I want to ask you very briefly, how did your identity change as a person when you switched from business to art? How did you change as a human being?
Oh, beautiful, beautiful. It's if just try it, you'll see. It happened to me. It happens to many people. It just
Some of our
nourishes you.
viewers might have creative talents and they're afraid to go for their dreams.
No.
You tell them, go for their dreams.
That's what it is. It's very common. People are afraid to show their hidden dreams and their hidden talents. You have to come out and you have to inquire where there's opportunity that they give you. There are many towns that are giving you opportunities to come and show your talent.
Wow.
And they will appreciate it.
Well, Carmen,
They will.
as Franklin Roosevelt said, the only thing we have to fear is fear itself.
Yes.
And you are a bustling energy of wonder about art, and we thank you for being on our
thank
show.
you so
And you're
much.
always welcome to come back anytime and
Thank you. Thank
tell
you.
us what you're up to, okay?
Oh, okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you,
so
Carmen.
much.
Thank you.
Thanks.
So here we are with the star, with the woman of the hour, Yohani Monsanto, and she is an artist from Dominican Republic. She's involved in all kinds of art mediums. She does into surrealism, into abstract, into realism, and she's here. We're so lucky to have her here in Union City, New Jersey. She came in, and look at this beautiful painting here. It reminds me a little bit of Elvis. I'm a big Elvis fan. Growing up as a kid, I loved Elvis. So you're reminding me of my Elvis love of Elvis. And are you into music also? You painted a guitar here?
No. My father was a music.
This is dedicated to your father.
Yeah, yes. But in this occasion, my inspiration is about Hector Lavoe. He's a very famous artist from Puerto Rican, and he's play guitar and everything, different instruments. The composer of salsa.
Yohani, maybe you could tell us, how did you become an artist? What got you into art?
Say again.
What got you interested? ¿Qué interesante en the arte? What inspiración? ¿Qué inspiración for art?
For me, I'm painting for a long time ago when I was child. So my inspiration is the Madre Natura, the color of the music, because my inspiration is all the time the music, because I'm together the music with my father and I.
We like to talk about how art is all interconnected. I'm into literature. I'm a teacher of English and literature. I'm a writer, and all the arts, I think, are interconnected. Film, painting, and you're showing that here.
Yes, it is. Yes, the movies too, because sometimes I'm inspiration in the movies.
And you're not a movie star? I thought you were a movie star sitting over here. You could be a movie star, don't you know?
Interesting, yes.
Maybe we'll make a movie with you later.
Well, maybe.
Wow. Is this your first time in Union City?
Yes, it's my first time. I appreciated too much the invitation to the Carmen Resley. Carmen, thank you so much for the invitation and your director, Peter. I'm very enjoying. It's very beautiful. She's amazing. Thank you so much.
You're so warm and you're open and kind. And people think of art, they think of New York City, right? They don't realize that there's a lot going on the borderlands. I think the borderlands are more interesting, and we have a lot of talent that's being nurtured here and up and coming. And what would you say to our audience, people who maybe want to be creative and go for their creative dreams, but they're afraid to do that? Do you think everybody has an artist inside of them?
Yes, I think yes. Everybody has an artist inside, because you need to only make something. Maybe you have an artist. Maybe you are Picasso inside you.
Get that again. You say that again?
You have Picasso inside you.
I have Picasso inside of me. Wow, we really appreciate you coming on our show, and always come back and be a guest and let us know how your career is progressing.
Thank you so much for the interviews. Thank you for appreciating too much. You come to here for interviews me, and invite other artists come here to Union City.
We want to keep the conversation going. You can tell your friends about this show to come here. We like artists to come together and talk and have dialogue and have community, because this is a society that needs more art, I think. We're pushing a corporate agenda in America. You know, they're cutting the budgets on art programs in schools. I was once a substitute teacher in Union City in these very schools, you know, and I think Brian Stack, the mayor, is doing a wonderful job with the art program, but a lot of schools are cutting budgets on arts, and we need art. Did you, as a child, were you into art?
Yes. Days ago, I prepared something for the child. It's a special program. The name is Pequeño Picasso.
Okay.
Make something with the child, with the children. It's amazing work with the children. It's too much emotion, because the children is spontaneous.
Yes.
And you know who is he's saying in the moment, but and learn about this.
Unfortunately, too many adults lose that spontaneity, and I think through art we can maintain that, and you're doing a wonderful job, and keep up the good work.
Thank you so much.
We're with Carol now. Carol loves this painting. She's going to tell us why she loves it.
Yes, when I first entered the room, this is the first painting that grabbed my attention, and really I thought the name was the Lambada, because it looks to me
Yes.
that they're doing the Lambada, but actually
Yes.
I was edified to know that it's really the salsa.
Salsa.
Okay?
Ah.
When I came in, I just saw the passion, the fire.
Wow.
I felt the music, and I wanted to be her.
Oh, wow. Thank you, Carol.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, we're here with Felix and Katie. They are both from Colombia, the north of Colombia, and I would say that they are the best dressed couple in tonight's audience. They are so wonderful to look at and colorful, and very artistic couple here. Katie is a dancer, and Felix is an art person. He's very involved with the art world. Tell us what it's like to be here tonight.
Okay, yes, it's very important to be in this type of events. I invite the whole community around the world to come to this kind of event and support, because it shows really our expression that usually we don't have nowadays.
Wow. And you and your wife are both into the arts.
Yes, we are. She's a fashion designer. She got her own personage, which is Hualequero. Hualequero is a personage in La Guajira, Colombia, the north part. The myth says that it's a girl that is confined to sleep out of the house, and every morning the father finds a piece of art made, and she one day is discovered by the father and became a spider, and the spider go along the Guajira in the desert, and then the spider teach the whole community, Guayu community from Colombia, to make the colorful things that these people make.
So you're a spy.
Spider.
A spider. Now,
Maybe a spy, who knows?
mi inglés no fuerte. My English is no
yes.
strong. Okay, my Spanish is no good, but it's good to be with you. I feel your energy, su energía,
Gracias.
the arte, the inteligencia is muy importante, artistic is muy important, and yes.
In so many years that I've been here in the United States, I believe we are one of the first people, maybe the first people that show to the world what you are, and all kind of stuff that we've, showed to the world, and you have to look at it.
Okay. Thank you very much for being on our program. Okay,
Thank you.
Thank you. I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Public Voice Salon, getting close to our third year on the air. And this particular episode is different than others, I think. I guess even in the way it began, where I don't give an intro. I'm trying to become more naturalistic with the show, become a little bit more authentic, moving away always from trying to sound anything like what's on mainstream media, although it's difficult not to kind of copy that a little bit at times, But as you noticed, the first segment of our show was very low-key. It took place in my apartment. My wife and I, Claudia, shared an apartment in Hoboken, and we just opened the show by looking at my bookshelf and me just giving some commentary, very low-key. And then after that, we went out. We just went around the apartment showing different things meaningful to me in my own apartment, and things that are aesthetic and political nature, along with some commentary and also memoir aspects of my upbringing in a small town in Edgewater, looking at the painting that my dad did. Then we went outside on the street and we just looked around and saw what is, in particular, the beauty of the melting snow. And I love snow, and for various reasons. I think because one reason my mom loves snow, but also reading literature, novels like Charles Dickens, and even John Updike has some beautiful passages about snow. I'm thinking also what the anthropologist Clifford Geertz says about the importance of immediacies. In other words, the look of the doors and the windows in your neighborhood and community, what the sidewalk looks like, people on the street, and then at this wonderful explosion of art and energy and social life at this art gallery in Union City, New Jersey, which is blessedly unpretentious, unlike many art galleries in New York. And I think a lot of New Yorkers could learn by coming over to this side of the river some humility and kindness and what humanity is all about, and not the shishi art crowd. So thank you very much for watching. I'm John Bredin, and this is the Public Voice Salon.